Assalamu alaikum. Real Madrid 4, Levante 1, and what a game that was. We all should salute Vinícius Jr. because what a game that was for him. What a game that was for Mbappé. And, of course, Franco. Shout out to him for getting his first ever goal for Real Madrid. Now, look, heading into this game, I'm not going to be speaking about anybody else but myself, but I saw the lineup. I said, what is Xabi Alonso trying to do? And I was trying to figure out that answer myself, but then I realized when I went online and searched Real Madrid's next upcoming game, it's in 3 days, 4 days. That's against Atletico Madrid. Now look, there was a lot of players being rested. Tchouaméni, Militao, Camavinga could have started, Bellingham could have started, Carvajal could have played, but Xabi Alonso decided to rest these players, and I am guessing and accurately guessing it's for the next game. Now look, I was a little scared when I saw the lineup because I am not going to lie, that back line did not look stable based off just the papers, based off just the names. And the way the formation was, it was 3 in the back originally, like on paper, but then we ended up having 5 because I believe Valverde would come back to help out Asensio, and Ceballos would also be defending as well. And shout out to Ceballos as well for winning us the ball back so many times this game. Even though he didn't get on the score sheet and even though there were some passes that he might have missed, his pressing and his ability to control in the midfield this game was fantastic. So shout out to Ceballos. Now look, this game went really, really well for Real Madrid. But there are a couple of things that I wish that Real Madrid did. But first, let's praise what happened that was good in this game. I was very, very, very proud of Vinícius Jr. because if you guys don't know, I'm going to give you some context. And by the way, I did not watch Vinícius Jr. back in 21-22 season, but I was wondering why everybody in that Levante stadium was whistling him and booing him. And I realized that game against him is where he came off the bench and scored 2 goals off the bench. And that is basically the birth of Real Madrid Vinícius Jr. And it all started in that stadium. And I'm guessing that the fans kind of didn't forget what Vinícius did to them back then. So I'm guessing that they were trying to keep up the energy to make sure that Vinícius was not locked in. However, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he finished this game with 1 goal and 1 assist. And a brilliant assist off the counter to Franco, who finished it off his weak foot. And it was just phenomenal. And I've always said this. Vinícius Jr. on the counter-attack is unstoppable. Of course, there's some moments where he messes up. Of course, even Mbappé who messes up. And other strikers and other wingers who mess up their counters. However, if Vinícius Jr. stays in form like this, there is no stopping this man. And now look, Mbappé in the first half for Real Madrid was really nothing above average, to be honest. So, not above average. They did really well. I'm not going to lie. They did really well. I was speaking specifically the start of the first half where Real Madrid did concede, and it was a horrible way to concede a goal, right? We had this error by the way, if I remember correctly, Dean Hassan, he kept a player onside before the whole crossing and everything. That back line has to be straight. You guys have to, I'm not saying to do an offside trap. That is not what I'm not saying to copy Barcelona. That's not what I'm saying. No, I'm not saying that. What I am saying is, at the very least, stay consistent with that back line. Now, of course, there's a chance for them making a run, right? But if Dean Huijsen, right, if you stay deeper than the rest of the back line, you're going to make somebody maybe from Asensio's side make a run where you're too far to help him, or somebody from where Fran Garcia was where it's too far to help him either. So it's very important for that back line to stay straight and stay consistent, right? Because even the rule still applies. Even a toe is offside. So Dean Huijsen, that was like a mistake. I feel like, in my opinion, that started from him. Courtois did his best to save it. Huijsen did his best to stop the cross, but it went in. So I'm not going to discredit anybody. I'm not going to say this game was horrible. Levante was horrible. No. Levante did really good capitalizing on our mistake. But other than that, Real Madrid returned 2 goals, and brilliant from Mbappé to win that penalty. If anybody wants to go argue with a brick wall because nobody's listening to you. Real Madrid, Mbappé won that penalty fair and square, and you saw the contact. So anytime people mention Real Madrid and penalties, they always want to go on and troll whatever. But the fact is the fact, and you cannot change that. Something that bothered me this game, and I don't know if it bothered anybody else, but anytime somebody would make contact with a Levante player, and I'm specifically talking about Real Madrid players, whenever they make contact with a Levante player, it was always called no matter what. Even if somehow it's the player running into the arm. Like they would run into the arm and then go fall backwards, right? And I get it. If there's sometimes where Real Madrid by accident, like the players would hit the head, and okay, you call that because, even though it was by accident, it was still contact. But sometimes the hand would just be like this. I forgot who it was. And then the player just ran right into the arm, and then they gave him the foul. I feel like that rule has to change, if it even is a rule, unless the referee just called it based off the blind eye. But yeah, other than that, the game went really well, and I'm glad that we won by a huge margin. I'm glad that we won by this huge margin before even any substitutes got on, and resting some of our key players that we need to play in a regular match. There was a moment in the game where Real Madrid players would just kind of pass the ball around the box and then they would push it backwards. And that is not something I'm a fan of. It literally reminds me of last season where that was Carlo Ancelotti ball. And that is not something that I like, where Real Madrid players would just kind of pass from the side to the middle to the other side to the middle to the other side, and then backwards and keep going backwards. I don't like that. It really doesn't build you any momentum unless they are trying to pull the Levante players towards them, right, so that they don't play the low block. If that is the plan, then okay. But then when I see it happen consistently, when I see it happen to a point where it's not building up to anything, that's where I start questioning, is it really necessary to do this? I really enjoy passes that are being made that is unexpected, and when Real Madrid players play fast. For example, that Mbappé counter and that beautiful Arda Güler assist that I almost forgot, that was fast ball. And that is how you finish a counter. Mbappé with a beautiful finish for his his first goal. Amazing. Amazing, amazing. Unless that was his second goal. I don't know. Either way, one of his goals. Vinícius Jr. finishes from the right side as a right winger. And I've been saying this. I said that you should try Vinícius down the middle. Nobody has ever tried that so far. Try Vinícius down the middle, Mbappé on the left. Or try having the two strikers where it's Vinícius and Mbappé playing as the strikers. When you have Vinny too far off the left, he tries to do something that everybody can read. But then once he's on the right side, we see him finish with a beautiful trivela. When have you ever seen that from Vinícius, unless he's playing down the middle? If you guys look at the 23-24 season, and I'm telling you, go look up Vinny Jr.'s highlight, you will see how many beautiful finishes he has from going down the middle instead of pushing from the left wing. It's very, very, very important for Xabi Alonso to experience this, and I really wish that he experienced this, Vinícius playing down the middle, before this Atletico Madrid game and before we play Barcelona. Because I'm not going to lie, when you look at Mbappe, he's kind of more towards the left, him and Vinícius, right? If Mbappe wants to play more towards the left, try Vinny down the middle. Now, I'm not saying to try that against Barcelona or try that against Atletico Madrid. I'm saying try it out, maybe in training, maybe try it out for an actual game. If it doesn't work, tactics can switch. You could always communicate and tell them to switch back. You know what I'm trying to say? I want to try to see Vinícius Jr. down the middle. That's all I want to see. And if it doesn't work, I'm not expecting it to work off of only one game, but if it doesn't work, whatever, go back to how we always play. But yeah, shout out to Vinícius Jr. with the beautiful finish and that beautiful assist on the counter to Franco. And what a vision that he had. He passed it to Franco with a beautiful left foot assist, which is his weak foot. And Franco, he hit the ball wrong, but he still put it in the back of the net, and that's what matters at the end of the day. Proud to see Franco get his first ever goal for Real Madrid, and I hope to see plenty more. And obviously, shout out to Xabi Alonso. Without him, this wouldn't have had happened. The way he rotated the players, the way he rested specific players, then the way he brought them on in a good time, and for them to get minutes to warm up. Very good. This manager knows what he's doing, and I have full confidence in him. That is 6 straight wins for Real Madrid. Very proud of them, and I hope that the streak continues this Saturday against Atletico Madrid. Now, honestly, I did not see who the Man of the Match award went to, but I am expecting it to go to Mbappe, but I hope that Vinícius Jr. wins it because he did have a phenomenal game. this match. I just searched it up, and Vinícius Jr. did win my man of the match. Well deserved. Could have went to either him or either Mbappé. Glad to see Mbappé getting the goals for us, and whether it's penalties and whether it's regular goals, a goal is still a goal. Mbappé has been a huge involvement in our success, a huge involvement last season for us finishing second place in La Liga, and very happy to have both Mbappé and Vinny. You can see the chemistry kind of building up back with these two. You can see Vinícius passing the ball more. I just hope, and I hope that the decision making for Vinícius Jr. and Mbappé goes up and their reaction time goes up, because not saying reaction time in general, but reaction time when making decision. I'm not saying their decision when scoring a goal or anything, but their decision when making passes, or when to time their passes, or to who they could pass. Because sometimes I feel like they hesitate a little bit to see if they could try to get past this defender. If not, then they pass it. And I feel like that slows the momentum. And like always, that brings back the entire defenders back. And then here's the low block that we have to deal with. So the decision making is key for Real Madrid, and specifically for Vinícius and Mbappé, to keep the momentum high. That's very important, to keep the momentum high, to keep the tempo high, and obviously to keep the possession with Real Madrid and do something with the possession, because possession and not doing anything really doesn't win you games. You could only win a game with only 5% possession of the ball. A goal doesn't need you to have the ball for more than 50%. That's not a rule, okay? So let me know what you guys think. Do you think Real Madrid had a phenomenal game? Do you think they got lucky? Because obviously there's a certain specific people like to say that Real Madrid gets lucky and whatever, this and that and that. But let me know what you guys think. Leave it in the comments below. And like always, I will respond to all the comments. I will also leave my opinion, and I will also like your comments. Make sure you subscribe if you're new, and subscribe for more for new content. Comment and share with your friends. And until then, Assalamu alaikum.